This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. Today I'm joined by three folks. I have Kari McKnight-Dearborn, one of our good food fighters, and the lady responsible for bringing this wonderful stuff into Ontario, Feragaia. And then we have Bill Garnock and Jamie Wild, who are the founders and the two gentlemen responsible for this intriguing spirit. So with no further ado, gentlemen, how would you describe Feragaia to someone who was unfamiliar with it?
Well, Jamie, I'd say founders, yes, gentlemen, maybe. But so Feragaia is it's a distilled alcohol-free spirit, and you're probably wondering, what does that mean? It means what we do is we sort of harvest about 14 different botanicals, a lot of them of which we grow here in Scotland, and we put them through the authentic distillery process. But crucially, we never use alcohol at any point. So it's all pot distillation and working distillery equipment and an authentic, traditional distillery in sort of a beautiful part of Scotland. But at no point does alcohol get added. So we're using steam distillation to sort of essentially extract flavors across the process. And so you get a lovely, rich, deep, interesting flavor, which when added with your sort of favorite mixes over ice or in cocktails, you get a really interesting adult serve. So it's, so it's a distilled alcohol-free spirit.
Now, I have to ask where you got your inspiration from, because you both have some kind of history in the whiskey industry, don't you?
Yeah, so shall I jump in on this one? Well, so Bill and I both cut our teeth in premium spirits, and we worked across great gins, great whiskies. Bill, being from Scotland, obviously was particularly interested in the whiskies. Myself, I was more in gin, so I spent some time in Sipsmith and then later in Pernod Ricard. But we sort of very much took a lot of inspiration from the enthusiasm, passion, and quality that comes from these great spirits. But we did feel that it was a very unbalanced playing field when you look at alcohol versus alcohol-free. And so we wanted to bring that same level of authenticity, confidence, excitement, and really passion to an alcohol-free spirit, so people can truly feel like they're having something that meets that moment that is normally just defined by the alcoholic drinks people are drinking. But as you know, in today's world, more and more people have different reasons not to drink, and so it's only right that we should feel that there's a level playing field with that.
It's interesting in analyzing this today. I mean, if you look at the color of it here in the glass, I'm just for objective purposes, I'm just tasting it straight today. But there are certain, I would say, nods or winks to certain elements that one would find in a whiskey in here. And I'm not saying it's like any kind of like non-alcoholic whiskey clone. Far from it. It's quite a complex aromatic that comes off here. And the first thing it reminds me of is like one of those old-fashioned Scottish sweetie stores. There's certain, I don't know if you know Oddfellows sweets, the little hard candies that are kind of chalky.
Yeah.
And we used to buy them by the 2 ounces or 4 ounces, which would be like 8 of these things. But there's definitely some kind of old sweetie curiosity shop thing going on in here. How would you describe this aromatic profile? Because it's unique for sure.
Yeah, well, we say it's original and complex, citrusy top notes, a herbaceous body, and earthy warming finish. And you're right to pick out that there are elements that can be related to say a whiskey. However, we're not defined by any sort of alcoholic spirit. We do really see Feragaia as a bold expression that is only trying to be itself rather than trying to be something it's directly trying to avoid being, which many alcohol-free drinks are. So that sort of originality in the taste, whilst there are, depending on how you use it, and lots of people drink it with ginger ale, and I'd say that that's definitely closer to a whiskey or a spiced rum, because you have that complexity that comes through from some of our spice botanicals and meets the ginger really, really well. However, the more sort of citrusy notes that we have through lemon verbena, blackcurrant leaf, bitter orange, and a couple of other botanicals as well, really when it's sort of more akin to, say, a gin experience. And so if you're going to use it with a tonic, say, then you can actually, you get that complexity and the depth still, but it starts to, that versatility works really well across quite a few different fields. So, you know, we do feel that with the right education and the right sort of the clarity in how to use it, it's a really interesting drink for people who are generally interested in beverages, and we say for drinks explorers. So people that want to have a new experience that is unlike any other alcoholic experience that they've had, and so they can be excited about it, introduce it to their friends, and truly sort of be confident and comfortable in that moment when they're drinking it. Which has always been a bit of a challenge traditionally with alcohol-free, because you might have a soft drink or a glass of water or a cup of tea or something that isn't quite the same as a great craft beer, a premium gin, or a great bottle of wine.
I mean, I'd also say that there's one of the very few products in this space, in this category, which don't involve alcohol, which sort of take you to a different place. So I mean, you're sort of getting nostalgic elements of growing up in the sort of the candy store with our 8 ounce of whatever those sweets you mentioned were.
But we were on the other, we were allowed 2 ounces. My mom was
I won't tell your mom, don't worry. But what I'd say is, in the world of drinking before Feragaia, there's alcohol, there's great stories, great brand homes, emotive tales, and then there's functional soft drinks.
Yes.
Which are just sort of electrolytes, or sleep improvement, or weight loss. But Feragaia has completely plowed right through the middle of that by creating something of all that emotive power, interesting sort of complexity and depth of flavors, which really take you to a different place, whilst having the functional benefits of being zero sugar, zero alcohol, gluten-free, vegan friendly, and all the above. So to try and sort of create a story out of nothing, it took us a lot of time. And hopefully when you get sort of nosing it and smelling it now and tasting it, it does give you that sort of that thinking time, which only the great top shelf products, which we sort of all know and love nowadays, traditionally do. So it's exciting to really create a new story and a new process, which has come about through that sort of combining modern innovation and forward thinking with that traditional age-old Scottish distillation story and our heritage, which has done the world so great for so long. But now I think it's time that the Scottish distillery and distillation story evolves into this new category, and I'm sort of really excited that Feragaia is leading the way with this product and with the story. And having Kari and yourself now talking about it and smelling and nosing it and drinking it across the Atlantic is just such a great first step for us overseas, and it's really exciting to be sort of even having this conversation.
Kari, I have to ask you, what was it that drew you to this particular beverage here? What was it, and where do you see its application? Where do you see the demographic that would enjoy this within Ontario?
Well, the beauty of this product is actually not restricted to Ontario.
Because it's not. Yes. Yeah.
Right. And so for me, that was really exciting. And that's kind of a separate thing, but it's a whole new world to kind of be working in markets that normally are prohibited unless you're based there, Yep. So for me, I found out about Feragaia through reading an article that I was specifically looking for non-alcoholic additions to my portfolio. And I came across it in an article, very sort of tucked away. And I've been talking with Jamie and Bill for a while before we got to bring it here, just pandemic times, you know how it is. Yeah. And I reached out via email, and I had a lovely, back and forth chat with Bill initially about, sort of what I was interested in. So for me, what was interesting about Feragaia is, you can tell a little bit by my last name, but I do have Scottish background. 3/4 of me is firmly Scottish. So one of the things that really drew me to it is that I love Scottish spirits. I'm tried a lot of gins and a lot of whiskeys and a lot of different things. And I thought, based on the tradition of distilling that comes from Scotland, I knew that this is probably for me the kind of product that I could get behind because of the way that it was made. and B, taste wise, once I could taste it, if it tasted as good as it sounded, it was going to be perfect for me to be able to sell, because as you know, my reason for being is to bring things that I personally love and personally can get behind to the marketplace here. So after my chat with Bill, via email at first, I really liked Bill, and I really liked the product, and started to search around and found there was a lot of compatibility. And Bill made me feel pretty nostalgic for the motherland. And also, he sent me some Feragaia to try, and once I tried it, I'm like, yep, this is going to do okay here. So I was really glad to kind of find it by accident, to be honest. As sometimes that happens with the things that we love, and it's just starting to take off. We've only had it here for a week and a half.
Right. Okay.
It arrived a week and a half ago. So.
And gentlemen, what kind of success have you had with this product in the United Kingdom and perhaps Europe thus far?
Well, so we launched in September 2019 after quite a lengthy sort of development period. And since then, we've been working across the sort of the main channels that you might expect. So the on-trade, so all the hospitality venues, retail, online events, and more recently, international. And Canada's our first international market, which is, very exciting for us. But on home turf, before COVID, we were really focused on developing Feragaia within the hospitality sphere, and so we got some fantastic early bars and restaurants that got behind us, and so we got off to a great start in that respect. But then in March 2020, COVID struck and everything moved online for us, really, for pretty much a year. And in the last few months, we've been moving out of that to a more sort of balanced business, with sales channels, with events coming back, the on-trade opening up, thankfully, and then retail picking up as well, and then international. And so we're delighted that we're in almost 320, I think over 320 accounts in the UK now, and that spans retail and also hospitality. Some venues like the Dorchester sort of being a fantastic example of a great hotel that uses Feragaia, to fantastic retailers like Dalesford and Harrods, and more recently doing events with and pop-ups with the likes of John Lewis and other premium sort of retailers. So we've had some great success. Been lucky to have been in the market since it's really started to get going. And so we've had that opportunity to be out as much as possible in front of consumers and working with other businesses to really understand Feragaia and how it works for them. And so we're compounding and refining all of that learning at the moment, and we're really looking forward to sort of taking things up a gear coming into the end of this year and beginning of next, which is our really busy period. So it's a very positive story from our side, and there's lots of very exciting things to come. And it's great to work with people such as Kari, who share the same values as us, and can carry that Feragaia message overseas, and start to sort of establish it and grow it in that way as well. So
fantastic.
Very happy, but not without its challenges and hard work, as I'm sure you might imagine.
I'm sure you'll want to shoot me down for this, but it's just the way my mind works. When I was tasting it this morning, I was thinking about what I could blend with this, and then I realized, what I could mix with this to make it taste really interesting. It's very interesting as it is, but just things that would complement it. And in my head, I was thinking maybe a Lowlands whiskey added to this, and I'm like, no, I think that kind of defeats the purpose of it. But all of this was going through my head this morning. I think it's an absolutely fascinating product. My wife is very much into the kind of non-alcoholic beverages and spirits side of things. So I'm going to. She was frowning at me this morning as I was having this first thing, because I think she thought it was something of the alcoholic persuasion. But I think I'll try and convince her to have some of this this evening and get some feedback from her as well. But gentlemen and Kari, thank you very much for joining us today at Good Food Revolution and introducing us to this rather wonderful non-alcoholic spirit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you,
Jamie.
Jamie.
Take care.